Hey friend, this is episode number 547 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so,
Can't think straight? Don't scroll, don't post, don't Google. Pull a prompt from the Clarity Code instead. It's a deck of spiral-stopping questions made to help you reset in 5 minutes or less. Clarity isn't complicated, it just needs a cue. Grab your deck at bossgirlcreative.com/reflection. Hello, friend. Happy December. It is almost the end of 2025. And I am grateful we are on this side. I'm looking forward to 2026. I survived Thanksgiving 2025. Oh boy, that was something else. That was something else. But I did survive, and now I can talk about it, and we're just going to leave it at that. So let's talk about what's been going on in my world since I last chatted with you last week. Our roof started, which is so exciting. We're not dried in, we're nowhere close, but at least they did start putting the roof on my house. My exterior doors are officially ordered. I am finally meeting with a mason to talk about my fireplaces sometime this week, hopefully sooner rather than later. And in the garden, I managed to harvest as many tomatoes as I could because on our Thanksgiving celebration, which happened to be on Saturday instead of actual Thanksgiving, we had a massive cold front move in. It has not moved out, and it's really, I don't like being cold. I'm not sure who actually does, but the cold hasn't left, and I would like it to leave. Only because it's no fun. There's no snow or anything. It's just cold. So that doesn't make it fun. So I was able to get as many tomatoes as I could before that cold front came through. I got my water line disconnected so that I wouldn't have any freeze affect the water lines in my actual garden. I also started working on my spring garden plan, and I started working on the list of seeds that I would like to buy to try out for 2026. So that is where I'm at. Like, I've drawn out my map. Now, that's always just a guideline for myself when I go out and plant, but at least I have a plan, and we'll see what happens when I actually attempt to implement. But that's where we are. And let's talk about books. I finished The Last Secret of Lily Adams. That was such a good book. 5 stars. Sarah Blades, Blaydes is the spelling of her last name. I also finished book 3 by Dan Brown, the Robert Langford series. This one was The Lost Symbol, 5 stars. And I'm in book 4 now, which is Inferno. And it is for sure a book I haven't read. Like, somewhere in the back of my mind, while I was listening to The Lost Symbol, I kept thinking, I feel like I've read some of this. Like, some of this storyline is familiar. And usually when I read a book, if I have read it before, like, the dialogue for sure comes back at me. And it wasn't strong enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I totally remember this. But it was like, I think maybe I did. Very strange sensation for sure. So I have officially read 90 books so far in 2025. My goal was 75, so I've knocked that out of the park. I'm curious if I can read 10 more books before January 1st. I think I can. I think I can. I just need to buckle down and do it. Okay, so a little slow on course asset number 5 for my Stop Pests in the Garden Organically. That's not the exact name, but that's the gist. And yeah, asset 5 is working. I actually just got the info over to her. I don't know why. I think the Thanksgiving holiday kind of like messed me up, and then I just was a couch potato for a couple days. And then I was like, why did I not bring my laptop home? I could have been a couch potato with my laptop and actually been a little bit more productive than playing solitaire on my phone. But yeah, so asset 5 is working. It should not take her more than 2 days to pull that one together. And then we're on to asset 6. There's 13 total. And I am also trying to figure out how much or when I should actually sit down to record my course. It's like one of those, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and do it kind of things. And I haven't done that yet. And I need to, because the assets don't have anything to do with me actually sitting down to record the course. So I need to just do that, make time and do that. So that is my life update. Let's move on to search bar confessions, which not a whole lot. Like I said, I was a couch potato playing solitaire in my time off. I did Google the Sam Cart Black Friday deal, but evidently they produced that out before Black Friday. I think they did it on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and shut it down like on that particular day. So I don't even know what the Black Friday deal was supposed to be. Somebody was like, hey, go look in the ads library, the Meta ads library, and see what their ads were, which you can totally do. You can go snoop on your competitors' ads if they're running them on Facebook. Just go to the ads library and find them. So I also Googled a lot of recipes and how to cook things specifically. Like on Saturday, which was our Thanksgiving day, I was I was smoking the turkey up at the warehouse in our smoker, but I was needing to cook all of the things that I prepped the day before, and I still needed to create my turkey gravy base. And so I went home and I put everything in the oven, and I was like, I still have to make sweet potatoes and I'm supposed to use the oven for that. And I have a single oven and it's literally full. There's no room for anything else. So I was like, how do I cook sweet potatoes on the stovetop? Anyway, so lots of random searches. I also wanted to find, and I haven't been successful, so I'm polling you to see if you have heard of anything like this. I have to sleep with an eye mask. It's one of those satin ones, and it leaves a gap where if your eyes flutter while you sleep, it is not distracting, so you won't wake yourself up because of the compression up against your eyeball. It gives you that natural ability if you do that. I don't have a clue if I do that, but anyway, so that is the type of eye mask I sleep with. I sleep with an eye mask because I hallucinate, or I can tend to hallucinate at night, and it's to save my husband's sanity during his own sleep period. So any noise or light can trigger a hallucination for me, and as long as I can keep my eyes like covered up, then I don't have those triggers and I'm able to stay in sleep. It's so wild. Thank you to brain injury for that long-lasting sleep effect that I have. But because I do sleep with an eye mask and I am a stomach sleeper, I have a lot more puffiness on my face, and some wrinkles are popping up right where that eye mask sits. So I'm like, well, is there an eye mask that I can put on my face that then I can place the eye mask on top of that? It's like an eye mask for an eye mask, just to help my skin with that. It's kind of like an irritation overnight. So I was Googling for eye patches for sleep, and of course it's giving me the type that I sleep with, but I'd like to have the face ones, not so much necessarily to put any kind of skincare on my face, maybe just to lock in what I put on my face when I, prep for bed. But everything that I found is like 15 minutes and take it back off. And obviously that won't work in sleep. So I'm curious if you have any experience or know anything that could be used for that. I also randomly Googled a coffee cart business license. I saw somebody asking, like, with cottage food industry businesses, especially like in the state of Texas, there are things that you cannot sell through a cottage food license, and hot or cold items are not allowed. And coffee would be a hot item. So anything that has to be temperature controlled. There are some things that you can that are temperature controlled, but it's like a very, very short list. And so then I was like, well, in the wedding industry, we have coffee carts that pop up at wedding events. Like, what kind of license do these people have to be able to retail a hot or cold beverage? And it's not an alcohol beverage license. So I went down the rabbit hole. I don't have an answer. I'm going to have to reach out to some of my coffee cart biz friends and be like, hey, so I have a farm stand and I'd like to do prepared products. And I'm curious about coffee. What license are you using for your cart? Because I don't have an answer. And then I watched Cruella with Emma Stone. I love that movie. And I was like, oh, I wonder if Cruella 2 is still going to be a thing. And evidently, yes, a live action something. Who knows when, but eventually maybe it will be a thing. And that wraps up this week's Search Bar Confessions. Okay, let us move into this week's business nugget, which is all about traffic. So when I say traffic, I'm not talking about the metaphorical kind that sounds cute on a Canva graphic, and definitely not the just post more content and hope it lands kind of traffic. I mean actual measurable daily traffic to the one page in your business that tells the truth, your checkout page. Because here's what I've realized, and honestly, I should have seen it sooner. When you solve your traffic problem, you solve most of your other problems. Conversions, visibility, even confidence, they all get easier when you have eyes on your offer, not just once in a while, but every single day. And I know that sounds so obvious, like, of course we need traffic, duh. But here's the part that gets missed. Most of us are spending way too much time inside the back end, tweaking, planning, overthinking, and not nearly enough time just getting people to the page. I had to have a come to clarity moment with myself recently as I'm building out this garden course. I looked at my own stats, not the vanity ones, not the followers or the likes, but the one that actually affects revenue. How many people are landing on my bio page and then clicking through to see what else that I have to offer, which right now for the House of Sugar Creek, I do have a garden course in my freebie library, but right now it's not getting a whole lot of traffic because I'm not doing a good job of saying, hey, I have this thing. And so, yeah, the number was low. I'm literally creating content that is entertaining. And while that is an okay place to be, it also needs to be driving traffic to the checkout page. Which, of course, it makes sense because I'm not prioritizing traffic. I'm hoping for it, but I'm not building for it. So I have started to shift to mention that I have a brand new course coming, and that will continue to shift as I get this course out and actively selling it. So I'm spending 80% of my time right now building out my course, which will eventually focus on traffic. But I'm also thinking about the content I'm still creating, because I do think it's important that I not show up and create content, but how do I create content in a way that is going to drive traffic to the fact that I'm now building a wait list for my course. So now I'm spending 80% of my time on traffic content, not content in general, traffic generating content. So let me break down what that actually looks like, because this isn't about hustling harder. This is about building smarter. If you're not getting traffic right now, your only job is to pick one platform and start publishing short form content consistently. That's it. Not planning a whole funnel, not rebranding your freebie, not making your website prettier. I mean, you do want to have a working funnel, and in the sense of drive the traffic, get them to, slide into your DM so you can give them a link, and then that link goes to your checkout page so that they have the opportunity to buy in a funnel in that sense. And then just hit publish. Because the more short form content you create, especially Reels or TikToks, the more people you attract. I legitimately proved that earlier this year when I continued to show up and tell you about compounding my social media traffic. It's the same thing that happens with your financial investments. Traffic compounds just like your financial investments compound over time. So again, the more short form content you create, the more people you attract, the more people land on your profile, the more click through, the more checkout page views you get, and that's what drives your sales. It's not a secret. It's just that most people are chasing all the other numbers and forgetting the only one that matters. The vanity stuff, the follows, the likes, none of that matters if you are not getting them to your checkout pages or checkout page. If you are following the 5 ones, and I really, really hope that you are going to dig deep and do that, the goal will be your checkout page. So checkout page views matter. That's the metric. That's the truth. So if we want more of those, we need clarity, consistency, and structure. Not in a rigid way, but in a way that respects our capacity and actually works. Here's how I'm thinking about it. Reels bring traffic. Carousels on Instagram bring trust. Stories carry the offer. Reels are how people find you. Carousels are how they decide if you're worth following, and stories are where they click. But none of that will work if your content doesn't ask for something. So now every piece of content that you create needs to have a job. Every CTA, your call to action, needs to be clear. Every comment that triggers automation needs to be intentional. And every DM that you send out has a link to your checkout page. And your CTA, just keep it simple. Comment checkout and I'll send it over. Comment guide and I'll DM you the link. Simple, repeatable, automated. You're not being annoying, you're just being clear. And honestly, if you're only talking about your product twice a month, newsflash, that's not selling. That's hoping. And hope doesn't pay the bills. Hope that the algorithm picks you up and makes you go viral. That doesn't pay the bills. And you can't track hope, but you can track how many reels you posted this week, how many story mentions included your offer, how many people clicked the link, how many actually landed on the checkout page. That is the real data you're looking for. That's the part that gives you leverage, because when you hit 100 checkout page views a day, things start to click. Sales start to become predictable and content starts to feel less like a guessing game. But let me tell you, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to stay in it long enough to see that compounding effect actually take hold. So if you're mid-spiral wondering if your content is working, check the page views. If they're low, don't panic, just recalibrate. Make a plan that prioritizes your traffic and let every piece of content do one clear job. Talk about your offer every single day. Not because you're desperate, but because you're a business and visibility is your job. You don't need a new strategy. You need traffic. And when you build for that, things move. All right, that's what I've got for today. Go track the numbers that matter, let go of the ones that don't, and remember, clarity creates motion, one click at a time. And P.S., most of the women I work with aren't confused because they're lazy. They're confused because they're carrying too much. The Clarity Code is a deck of reflection prompts I made for those exact moments when the noise is too loud and the next step feels impossible. You don't need a new blueprint. You need one honest question. Grab your deck at bossgirlcreative.com/reflection and come back to yourself. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
And fell. That's all.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.